So I'll just do that, I guess.
Are you on the Scout email?
No, I can jump onto that real quick.
Yeah, I think
Hold
that
on.
might.
I'm gonna stop sharing. Sorry, y'all. One sec.
Are you on the Scout email?
Oh yeah, I am actually.
Okay, I think we're live on YouTube now. Yeah, we'll get started in just a few minutes.
I can jump onto that real quick. Yeah, I think I'll...
Hello?
Are you on the Scout?
Guys, it is live.
It is.
Okay, one sec.
We're just getting the PowerPoint up. Awesome.
Okay, whenever you guys are ready.
Okay, welcome everyone to our semester wrap up, our first fully remote semester, which is definitely come with challenges, but you all have absolutely killed it, and it has been really great working with everyone. And I'm really excited to see everything that everyone's done this semester.
Yeah, I've been keeping myself from taking a sneak peek of everything that you guys have put on the slides. I'm so excited. I'm going into this blind because I want to be surprised. But yeah, we can go over the agenda now. As you can see, we can go to the next slide. We have kind of swapped up the order and jumbled it. So we started with production this time, not like our old hands meeting. We're going to go on with conference. We're going to talk about the M&E team, labs, and finally we're going to do all the studio teams.
Yeah, so if we want to pass it off to Casey to kick it off.
Thank you, Shannon and Andrea. Hello, everyone. Yeah, welcome to the semester wrap up. Here we have the Scout Production 2020 cookie cake from our bonding. But yeah, so before we jump into it, I wanted to let some of my team members speak and just kind of talk about what they did and their experience. You guys have heard me talk before, but I'll talk a little bit about the end and kind of share like what's next for production and touch on anything else. But yeah, production is a new team, just kind of trying new things. We did some internal work for Scout this semester. We did some collaborating with studio, and we kind of started the foundation of our own kind of production project with Scout Presents and kind of finding our identity and our place in Scout. And I'm really proud of the team this year and I'm excited to continue. But yeah, I'll let them take it away.
Hi, I'm Gabby. I'm the motion graphics designer as part of production. And so like this semester I worked with one of the scout teams, the studio teams, Rooted Living, to do some motion graphic stuff for the ingredients. Flavors that they're introducing, of the granola that they're introducing. Yeah, maple almond and peanut butter crunch. And then the bottom left is the logo that is also going to go up on Instagram, Rooted Living. And then the other two, I messed up with the links, but they were on the Scout Instagram earlier this semester for when they're doing applications and then weekly dose of design stuff. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hi, I'm Kayla. So I also did some of the production, the Rooted Living shoot stuff. So Rooted Living rented out a space and then we were able to do some like photographs and some stop motion stuff as well during the studio work. So these are just a couple of them as examples. Yeah, just stuff to go on the website or the social stuff. So yeah.
Yay. Oh, they're all gonna play. There we go. Thank you guys. Yay, production. So what's next? Some things, kind of just thinking about our team and how, based off what we've learned and done this semester, how we're going to move forward. With client work, we did some video shooting at this shoot with Rooted Living as well. And next semester, we're going to be doing the editing and delivering those videos. And we're also hopefully going to work with Rachel a little more now that she has packaging and do a packaging photo shoot, maybe outdoors when the weather's warm. So kind of just thinking more about the client work that we're doing. And also with the clients that Studio is interviewing for next semester, we're trying to find new collaborations for clients that we feel like would work well with production as well, and really want some photography and different work for their socials. So exciting stuff. And then yeah, Scout Presents, working on building this platform. This is a kind of, the project kind of feels more ambitious and bigger when we think about it, but I'm super excited to take it on with the next team and really make that our focus of creating these series and original content going into it with the next team. That's what our focus is. And also the podcast you know and love, there will be more episodes next semester. Yeah, I don't know if Roman or Sam wants to touch on that or anything, but that is all more exciting stuff to come.
Yeah, more podcasts coming. We're talking about more different topics this time around. We're trying to branch out of just talking about graphic design and more talking about the design of the world in general. So exciting stuff coming.
Yeah. So yeah, production has been really awesome to just like have a team who is just kind of excited to just jump in, take this on. Is something that was new and different and ambiguous. Here's us at our team bonding. We made little sculptures together. Carissa joined us all the way on the West Coast. So yeah, we had a great time. I'm very thankful for you guys and thankful for rolling with the punches, rolling with me. And I'm excited to kind of keep building on all the ideas that we brought together this year.
Hi, y'all. So I'm here to talk a little bit about conference team. So as you know, when we all got brought on the team in September, our task was to have a conference during a global pandemic. And that is, I mean, at face value, an impossible task. And yet we had 9 dedicated, hardworking, amazing individuals who said, hell yeah, let's do it. And this is where we've ended up from that. And I cannot be prouder. So next slide. Literally kind of what I just said, where we started was literally trying to plan a conference during a global pandemic. And this is kind of a little overview of where we ended up. You can go on to the next slide. So I don't know if Alyssa wants to kind of take this away.
Yeah, I was just gonna talk briefly about where we started. It was a lot of brainstorming about what we wanted conference to look like, both with marketing and the design team, kind of like on what adjectives we thought would best describe conference, as well as like visual mood boards. So these are just kind of some examples of the brainstorming process. You can go to the next slide. And then where we are now in terms of design, or I don't know, Madison, if you want to talk briefly about this.
Yeah, so when I was brought on, this is my first semester at Scout. And when I was brought on board in August, when faced with what should the conference theme be, I think I've talked to you guys about this before, it was obvious that we should be highlighting people who are, you know, design thinkers who are creating a positive change in their communities and beyond. So that much was evident. And through the course of the semester, we've been able to just elaborate on the idea of breaking past, established concepts, breaking through what Scout looks like, what interventions looks like, what we can do for our community and beyond. And I really think the idea of disrupting what what has past been established has come through in the designs and the speakers we've reached out to in every aspect of this event. And like I said, I cannot be prouder. I know I keep saying that, but I truly think we are creating an event that is worthy of doing, and creating an experience that is worthy of this crazy year and is worthwhile doing. So yeah.
Yeah, so just to briefly touch on what the design team has been up to this semester. So this is the word mark for the conference this year. And then as well as what we've decided on for our icon for Gmail, for social media, and also the favicon for the desktop site, which we'll give you a sneak peek of later. In terms of color palette, we kind of wanted to create something that reflected the theme of disrupt. And so we focused a lot on like pops, bursts of bright color for energy and movements. You can go to the next slide. And then just some other aspects of the design. A lot of our link styles are reminiscent of a banner style. So when you hover over them, they kind of scroll across like a banner, which you'll also see in a moment. And then some other design elements are, we are focused a lot on movements. So we've got a lot of warped lines and warped text that actually in a lot of digital formats would be either moving or interactive. So on our site, we're hoping to have, when you hover over some of these elements, they do respond to the cursor, which would be really cool once it's in development now, but should be finished soon. And then the next slide. And then we plan to roll out social media announcements in the beginning of the next semester. So this is just kind of a sneak peek of what the design team has been working on. And then we plan to, for the actual Scout, the interventions Instagram, to have a series of posts that when you look on the actual profile, it's a bunch of tiles that end up making a complete announcement. And then finally, next slide. And then here is what our desktop site will look like. These are the wireframes. If you can just keep going through, there's just some screenshots of them. So here we would be showing our speakers, and they would be you could expand to see more about their bios, a countdown to when conference actually will be, information on how it's going to be virtual, an FAQ section. And then also if you click on this picture, it'll take you to our work in progress site. And I don't know if, Sam, if you want to briefly talk about it, if not, totally fine, but it's in the process of being coded right now. And Sam's been doing a great job kind of helping make all of our like complicated requests come to life. And we've got a scrolling banner at the top. And as I was saying before, hopefully we're going to have a lot of the elements be interactive with the cursor.
Yeah, if you want to scroll down, one of the scrolling banners, like one of my favorite parts that kind of came in late game. And this, if you keep scrolling vertically, it locks into a horizontal scroll and then continues, which is amazing. Like, but yeah, no, I cannot express how proud I am of the design team of taking the challenge of, of disrupting what we know to be Scout branding, interventions branding, what is popular right now, what has been popular before, and taking that and running with it and creating something so sleek and cutting edge. And I'm so incredibly proud of what we've come to do. So yeah, thank you, design team.
I think there's one more slide. And yeah, this is just to show what the original design strategy looked like and where we've come to now. And yeah, the design team has put in a lot of hard work, and I'm proud of, they've all done such great work and had so many innovative ideas and really helped bring conference to life this semester. Yeah.
So yeah, just to cover the other end of conference team, the marketing and logistics side, again, the idea of we're cold outreaching to people during a global pandemic and asking them if they want to be a part of our event. It has been no easy task by any standard, and to have a team so dedicated to making sure we have good representation across all disciplines, to be building an event that can truly be for, you know, any student of Northeastern, or even as, you know, initiative that we've been trying to include, or intend to include rather, Boston Public High School students, that they can walk into this event and see how their skills can make an impact. And I think that's exactly what our outward facing event should do. And that's exactly what the marketing and logistics team has been working towards curating. And I cannot be more excited about the group of people that we found through research and development, and the ideas that they've brought forward as to how to make this event, despite being virtual, truly enriching for every single person who encounters it. And that's, I think, no small feat. So we can move on to the next slide. I know Marcus unfortunately was not able to make it tonight, but I know Marcus and Maria had spent a ton of time researching conferencing platforms, and that was like going to a bunch of virtual conferences, making lists of what we like, what we didn't, weird trends that have emerged in the new era of virtual conferencing, and that being a really intensive process to see how we can foolproof this and see how we can improve on what's already existed. And that was, like I said, that took a ton of time, and I cannot commend them enough for attending multiple events just to see what was working. You can go to the next slide.
Yeah, I can take this. But on the logistics side, we've really been working on reaching out to all these speakers, which has been really cool to see designers from different disciplines and backgrounds. So we plan to have 3 keynote speakers and 3 panels. So we currently have, or our schedule is almost completely full with all of our confirmed speakers, which is really exciting. We have Jackson Highland Lipsky, who is the visual director of Women's March Global. We have Sarah Fathala, who is the co-founder of Design Gigs for Good, and that works with like the intersection of design and social impact. And David Dylan Thomas, who is the author of Design for Cognitive Bias. But it's definitely been a really exciting semester just being able to meet all these speakers, and I'll hand it off to Emily, who's going to tell us more about like the panels and the schedule.
So this is a sneak peek of our mock schedule. This is just one of the drafts, playing around with time and moving around events. So as you can see here, we have keynote speakers, panels, workshops. We're hoping to get a live demo too. And we're also gonna plan on having breakout rooms during breaks so people can mingle and chat. So there's still kind of the interactive element of getting to know people during a in-person conference. Obviously can't have an in-person conference, but still trying to mimic that a little bit. And you can see that we have so many amazing speakers. So really excited.
Yeah, and just kind of once again, I cannot have asked for a better team and people who are so dedicated to working hard and passionate about what this event is and what it means, and just working together and willing to learn from each other. That I'm so infinitely proud of you all, and I hope that you all will be able to step back and see how amazing this is. But yes, thank you all so much, and go conference team. Woo.
Hey guys, I'm Poyana, for those who don't know me. I'm the marketing and events director at Scout. Not that I haven't presented to you guys a million times, but just to dive a little bit deeper into kind of what went on this semester. So I guess we can start off with our speaker series. So although we're obviously all remote, we've continued to kind of plan and execute our biweekly speaker series events, in which we kind of just strive to offer interactive and engaging speaker events for, you know, the people and the members of Scout, but also those outside of Scout, and just like, you know, students at Northeastern that maybe want to get more involved in the design community or just want to learn a little bit more about something they're not too familiar with. Our theme for the semester revolved around just this general idea or message of design and identity. And that sounds kind of broad as I say it now, but it's, we wanted the theme to be focused enough that there was a general direction in the sense of outreach and, you know, who we want to reach out to, but also broad enough that, you know, it could still allow for different interpretations and different types of discussions and different types of speakers, but still aligning with our general goals of, you know, we want to talk about design, but we also want to be inclusive. And inclusive can obviously be interpreted inclusive can be interpreted multiple different ways. So to go really briefly through our events, if you guys weren't able to attend, I guess to preface, obviously all of our speaker events were virtual this semester, which is obviously super challenging because you don't really get that like great feel of like being in a room and like being with all your friends, and everyone's like suffering from being on Zoom all the time. But I think what was great about being virtual was just the fact that we were able to source speakers from a bunch of different places. So I think respective of the order, I think it was we like our speakers were from Florida, North Carolina, New York City, Portugal, and California, which is like really great because it's definitely something that wouldn't have been possible not in a virtual setting. I mean, especially like in Portugal, there was like a 6-hour time difference or something like that, which is honestly crazy. So our first event was with a former Walt Disney Imagineer who kind of just spoke about the creative, like his creative philosophy and, oh my God, sorry, my Slack, on greater imagination and creativity. This one was less aligned with our idea of brand and identity, just because that was still being fleshed out in the moment. Our second event was with the Innovation and Strategy Director at EY Wavespace, where he kind of talked about leveraging user-centered design to solve organizational problems and just kind of combating different problems related to systemic injustices and race, which I felt very much aligned with our theme. Our third event was with the founder of Mixed, a textile brand who spoke about leveraging design to start her own business and how ultimately being biracial has played a huge role in her designs. Which is personally one of my favorite speakers, just because there was like a lot of interaction with her on social media. And if you stalk her socials, she just has like really great designs and really cool designs. And I think the backstory behind her business was really great and also fit very well with our theme of brand and identity. And then our fourth event was with the founder of Fluxio, which he kind of just spoke about like a new tool he has to help designers not rely on web developers as much and kind of allow them to take back the power in a way. And then our fifth event was with Tesla, which was our last event and most recent event, which was just like a kind of recruiting live Q&A open discussion type of forum, which was our most recent one. And then, yeah, and I think just overall, we had a lot of great speakers, and there were definitely some that were more aligned with this idea of brand and identity. And I think we're going to definitely strive next year to continue with this theme, but like now, having it done and having it like fully thought out at the beginning of the semester is definitely going to help us like with outreach and all that. And also we'll be sending around like a kind of like a forum or just like Q&A if anyone had actually any interesting things that they actually want the speaker series to have or to talk about. You can also throw them into the chat and I can save those as well. But that will be going around just because we obviously like we want to have cool speakers, but like we don't want to have speaker events that you guys aren't interested in. So I think, and honestly, like with Scout's input, like that very much is a good indicator of what normal people will want to listen to and like partake in, I guess. So definitely look out for that. Okay, now you can go to the next slide, sorry. And then obviously Club Scout was rebranded to Scout Office Hours, and kind of this like open virtual discussion on Zoom, kind of allowing students to come in and chat with us in like a super unstructured setting, and just kind of continuing the efforts from last semester where sometimes these virtual workshops will be held to kind of bring in new people, but like also just kind of stating that we're like here and Scout's here if anyone had any questions related to design or like personal questions, which is like what I go to Scout Office Hours for, like little mental therapy. And then next slide. Okay, yeah, perfect. And I know I touched on this a little in all hands. So just our general initiatives, obviously like one of the main goals that I talked about during All Team, I already forgot the name, is to just put a face to the name and kind of allow greater insight into who Scout is and who the people are that make up Scout. And so these were just like a few of the initiatives that we had on social media, just like work from home, like giving a sneak peek into like different members of Scouts lives, and then management takeovers, having management take over Instagram and just kind of talk about like their team or themselves or, just to kind of give it in a more personal setting. And then spotlight takeovers as well. There were portfolio takeovers with Roman and Katu, I think, if I'm not mistaken, on Instagram as well. And then we're planning on also showcasing at some point, showing the great work that Scout does, so people actually know like, this is what's being produced, and we're not just hiding it to ourselves. And then next slide. I'm gonna pass it off to Ava, who will, talk a little bit more about the community care facilitator role. I think this is, obviously, like, this is the newest addition to the M&E team, and I think I've ranted on about everything a lot this semester, but I think this is like this role and just everything that Ava's going to talk about is really great, because not only is it a new addition to Scout, but it's like a really great addition that, like, I think holds a lot of value and is definitely just going to push Scout to just be a better organization and just like speak about great things. So I will let Ava take it away and dive into it.
Hi. Okay, it's me. So right. So basically, I wanted to touch on really quickly the history of this role, because I feel like I never shared that at Alt Team, but that's something that I really want to kind of tap into, is remembering, like, we're all here usually semesterly, and it can kind of be like, it's really hype. I love that. It can also be confusing because we don't always know like where all our roles came from and like the purpose that we hope they can serve. So really the role of community care facilitator began through like conversations between Shannon and I back when we were on labs team, and we were looking at a lot of civic issues, and we were talking about race, racism, we were talking about community and retreat, different things like that. And like from those conversations, we also started talking with Generate and looking at how other orgs have taken a new look at how to get in touch with their community and focus on initiatives such as anti-racism. So now I'm here, right? And two, some of the goals that we've been thinking about sometimes just essentially boil down to how can we connect Scouts teams, like even while being online, because the initiative of focusing on how can we be more inclusive and anti-racist has to kind of fall on all of us. So the best way to work together is if we can have opportunities to come together and form relationships and reflect. So the way that I've mostly tried to do that in some projects I've worked on is vibe check meetings, which you can see on the right. We've got these, thank you for the cursor. We've got my little Canva 1 a.m. moments, and I'm happy that I got to share them with you all. We also have been working with Karin, the director of the Northeastern Center for Intercultural Engagement. And that's really great because as an expert in diversity, belonging, and community engagement, she's helped us by asking questions and helping us go deeper into what are the specificities of Scouts' paths forward in anti-racism, not just like temporary changes, but what will really work for us long term. So next slide. Okay, so I threw a whole bunch of things in here because I just kind of wanted to give everyone a little look at the 3 vibe checks that we had. So we met on like Thursdays and Mondays, and the first one we had was about disability and ableism and access. And so we like practiced writing some alt text. So here's an example of that. This is Alice Wong, a picture of the author, but we also practiced like, okay, what should alt text look like? And how could we use alt text in our Scout projects? The next vibe check we had, next slide. This one was a little different. I kind of wanted to give us a chance to breathe. So this is, if you're a vibe checker, you'll recognize this GIF as like what I started putting at the beginning of all of our meetings so that we could just go like, and then it was secretly especially for me because I would be like really nervous and excited, and it's hard to understand people's energy through Zoom, but it was also just really cool to have these conversations. So in this meeting, next slide, I have a whole bunch of slides, y'all. I decided to kind of pull some readings from Adrienne Marie Brown in the NAP ministry that look at how rest is a form of resistance, particularly in the face of white supremacy and capitalism. And the way that we kind of practiced this was doing that like breathing exercise, but we also used mural, and that's what this Skajoys thing is. We all like had lots of cursors running around, and we added a bunch of our favorite scents and senses and smells. So next slide. I wanted to show you all what we've been doing, and maybe you can recognize some of your post-it notes if you came to Vibe Check, because so for movements, we had lying down, climbing a tree, we had some sights, we had puppy dog eyes emoji. Exactly, amazing. Next, on our last Vibe Check, I also sent out a feedback survey, and I was excited to hear that a lot more members were looking for conversations about, I have an alarm about race. And so I took from the program at the CIE called Re-envisioning Our World, where we read Me and White Supremacy. And it had lots of guiding questions. And so I took some of that and working with Maria Theresa and Denzel Washington, if anybody knows those incredible humans. And I took these reflection questions and we were able to journal about them and then go into breakout rooms and just kind of get down to where the personal, tangible ways that, for example, I want to explore the ways that white supremacy lives in me. And like, after that, it was nice because we were able to get into this kind of open mindset. And then we had a little brainstorm. And this is probably one of the most exciting things from Vibe Check this semester. If you want to go to the next slide. We, oh, right, download a free copy, y'all. I'm going to be sending a resource list right now. Every single time I had a Vibe Check, I said that I would send you all the resources, and I did not. And here it is, everybody. I have all the resources in one place. So please read it. So yeah, everyone can download a free copy of this book. I super recommend it. So we did this brainstorm and we looked at Scout and anti-racism and that relationship in the past, present, and future. Next slide. So we, for example, those yellow Post-it notes were, what did we think about Scout before joining it? And how do we associate it in terms of anti-racism? And then on the right, we had, what can Scout be? Like in an ideal situation, what would an anti-racist Scout look like? And so we just put on like tons of different ideas. And then on the next slide, we got down to some ideation. And I kind of just did this quick format to brainstorm, like, what's the idea? Who would we need to make this happen? And what is it similar to get us a visual of how we can make this real? And that was really cool. And I hope to continue to do this more and see more of just like, kind of like our first all teams or like orientation, where we like get on a mural and just get a lot of Post-it notes going and share all of our ideas, because everyone is already super involved in doing amazing things. So I want to like gather together. And this brings us to our last slide. Basically, I had a moment today when I was making all these slides frantically. In reflection, if Scout is a garden, the community care facilitator is gathering seeds, and we all belong to the garden, then I have 3 propositions for us going forward. I hope to see more gardeners, and maybe that is like a Vibe Check team, but basically giving us the opportunity and structure to have more members from each team have stake in what Vibe Checks look like, and bring ideas from your teams and bring ideas back to your teams. So we can be like the cute little cartoons on the right and planting things together. Get really specific. I think I've really heard, and in myself, my own critique is like, how can I be tangible? Like, what are we actually doing to be more anti-racist? What am I doing to analyze all of the ways that like white supremacy values like can live in me? And like, I could talk about this forever. So I wanted to just kind of like strengthen those feedback loops to constantly improve, and be open. Oh yeah, give the necessary time for sunshine to grow. Isn't that so cute, you guys? And then lastly, planting for sustainability, kind of like I was talking about, it's been amazing to work with Karin. I love Karin basically, and think about how can we actually be sustainable. And one really simple model is just kind of like, I'm going to write a letter at the end of this to like the future community care facilitators or like to future Scout. And this is just kind of a practice in me imagining how can all of our work go beyond just one semester, and how can I document like all the ways that I messed up, and how can we kind of like how can I recognize that quickly and often? Basically, it's design thinking is what I'm saying. But yeah, thank you all so much for coming to Vibe Checks. It's been normalized letter writing. It's been amazing to get to know you all better. And I just really appreciate the time and the like dedication to coming together and planting seeds and gardening. Okay, thank you, everybody. Next slide.
Hi, everyone. To get things kicked off, I just wanted to give a huge shout out to our entire team this semester. We've combated so many new problems that we've never faced before. Just working online and virtually with Monum, our partnership has even become greater. And I think that everyone on the team did such a great job this semester. So with that, I'm gonna pass it off to Delara, our project lead this semester.
Yeah, I am extremely proud of our team. This has been a really hard semester on labs in particular. I don't know if you guys have been in HQ, but HQ is kind of our little realm and we just stick post-its all over the place. So that was definitely difficult moving into a remote setting, but I'm really glad that our team has been really cooperative and helpful in this time. And we've kind of been able to replicate that experience online and produce something worthwhile for Monum. So I'm really proud of our team. You guys are great. You guys exceeded my expectations, and I can't wait to see what you guys do after this semester. But before I get way too sappy, I'm going to pass it off to Caroline to share what we worked on this semester.
Hello. So our kind of design thinking process began in full with all the interviews. So we got some tips from Monum about who to start with, and then from there we just like kept getting more and more suggestions. So we talked to a lot of people in City Hall and various departments, like just for example, like the Office of like Language Access, Language Communications Access, Office of like Disability Access, the Aging Commission, just trying to get like as many perspectives on this issue of like how to, and better is not a word, is it? I'm going to use it anyway. In better the like virtual engagement experience, where City Hall can like better their experience for all the communities of Boston. So we got some really cool takeaways. Is that me too? Is the next slide also me? It might be. I will go. So we got some like cool takeaways from it. So a lot of people in City Hall, they wanted to bring like new residents into virtual meetings, people who like hadn't gone before or hadn't thought about going before, increasing language accessibility. We talked to some people who like worked really hard to like make, like one person in City Hall had like a webinar about, oh God, it was like electric companies like scamming people, and they want to like make people aware of it. And these companies like actually like target people in like lower income neighborhoods and like a lot of like people who like don't speak English as a first language. And so he wanted to get this out to like everyone. So he translated into like 6 different languages, like all the materials. And then the second time he did something like that, he did like 11, which is so cool. So learned a little bit about that process and how it can be like better utilized throughout City Hall. There are concerns about like technology accessibility and literacy, especially from like offices like Aging Commission. So learning about like how that stuff like happens and where improvements need to go. And then a lot of places a lot of people were talking about like silver linings, like increased attendance. It's like all of a sudden you don't have to go somewhere to like attend a meeting. You can just like be cooking dinner. I feel like I've said that a million times throughout this semester. I'm like, you can cook dinner during a City Hall meeting. And so like trying to figure out how to utilize that as a positive and like keep that going, like not trying to like get people to stop doing that, but just trying to get like any level of engagement and just making sure that it's like quality. Yeah.
So after we got those few key takeaways, we decided to move forward with personas and journey maps. So we ended up coming up with 2 personas based on the information that we gathered from these meetings with the City Hall employees. And this first one is, we just came up with a random name. This is Roman's journey map. So Roman's journey map is kind of reminiscent of an employee in a larger Boston City Hall department, and he's tasked with planning and organizing a community meeting. Using the feedback that we got from these meetings with City Hall employees, we were able to base this journey map towards a larger issue, which was kind of a lack of community connection. And we were able to narrow out some points where we could improve the connection with between the community and the department. Next slide. So this is Deborah's journey map, another made up name, kind of based off of what we were extracting from people. So she's an employee in the language and communications department in City Hall, and she's received a request from Roman asking for a partnership for this upcoming meeting that he has. And so this journey map focused more on a lack of community rapport that was happening among a lot of departments in City Hall. And so again, we were able to kind of extract out some different areas that could use improvement, and we moved that forward, seeing how we could improve.
So after we made the personas, we kind of took them to Monum and discussed everything we had looked at so far, and were able to pick out some best practices because we kind of had this wider view of everything that was going on since we had interviewed people in every department and we had kind of examined their role as a third party. So we identified that things like YouTube could be used to share recordings for asynchronous access for people that might not be able to attend the meeting live but could watch it later. Live transcription software was huge for improving accessibility. Viewable chat dialogue could make meetings feel more personable because that was something that a lot of people at City Hall were struggling with, emulating that feeling of attending a meeting in person with people in your neighborhood. And that breakout rooms can be a key tool for creating spontaneity. You can go to the next slide. So then we kind of did this huge ideation activity with Monum that was really awesome virtually. We came up with a how might we statement saying how might we encourage homogeneous protocols for meetings while still doing what's best for each individual department across City Hall. And basically we took like virtual sticky notes and wrote down problems, ideas, and risks, and had this huge board of all of these problems and ideas and worked on it together. We listened to some lo-fi beats with Monum and did it. And then we kind of voted on our best ideas, and then we started working on prototypes. So I'm going to pass it off to, I think Aiden's going to talk about our first prototype.
Yeah, thanks. So we originally had a bunch of different prototypes, but we kind of had to filter down to two main, kind of just working within time and what was most feasible for the city. And so the first one is kind of an unglamorous, but very, the utility is very high with this one, prototype of a follow-up email. So what we have here is just another journey map, kind of. So it's going to walk a city employee through sending a follow-up email after a meeting. And ideally, it's to all of the people who have registered for this event or have shown some interest in one way or another. And so emailing them, kind of highlighting the SparkNotes version of what was said during the meeting, the most important questions that were brought up, kind of catch everybody up to speed, and then kind of making sure all of these small details are highlighted, like making sure that everybody is BCC'd instead of CC'd to protect privacy, the usage of a no reply service like a MailChimp to lessen the load of emails that departments are getting, and then to kind of have this idea of, beyond the email. So using that email template to make a press release kind of summary. So including everything that was in the email, but that's in a template that could be taken and put on social media or given to nonprofits and community organizations for their own dissemination. So that was the idea there. And then in addition to this, we also have an easier to look at checklist so that employees don't have to read this entire journey map just to send an email. And there's also a template to make their lives easier.
So in addition to the follow-up email guide, we developed a second prototype, which is something that we call the meeting landing page. And the idea behind the meeting landing page is pretty simple. In our research phase, we noticed that most of these community meetings that we were joining into, the first 5 minutes of them were basically spent doing nothing, just kind of like staring at the screen, waiting for the meeting to start. And we felt that maybe when residents join a meeting, they should be greeted by some sort of custom graphic that lets them know they're in the right place and orients them to what they can expect in the meeting. And so we decided to build a template using Google Slides that could be shared across departments, filled out before a meeting, and then screen shared at the start of a meeting for the first 5 minutes. And we decided there should be 4 components: the title and time of the meeting, the language that will be offered, and accessibility. So residents can be sure that their language or transcription they need will be offered. Technology etiquette, so they know when to unmute, when to use their video. This one's kind of like in a video game, if you're in a loading screen, you want to know what the controls are like on the loading screen. So this would kind of be like that, showing you where the mute button is. And then finally, on the bottom, there should be a bar about upcoming meeting information to pull people into future meetings. So if you go to the next slide, this is sort of our graphic solution, tying all this information together. And again, this lives on a Google Slides template, so residents can fill it out before a meeting. And you can see those 4 zones. We wanted the upcoming meetings to really pop out. So yeah, it's right there on the bottom. And then next slide. Of course, if the meeting is going to be offered in multiple languages, we believe that this meeting landing page should also be translated in multiple languages. And so the idea is that this could be kind of presented like on a loop at the start of a meeting.
Awesome, thank you, Labs. Hi, everybody, I'm Katu, the design director, and Joseph, you're there?
Yes, I'm here, always.
Cool. All right, so this has been a huge semester for Studio, and honestly, Joseph and I just wanted to say thank you so much for like every single person's like dedication, I mean, their passion and bringing so much energy. At the end of the day, you guys are really what makes Studio the insane powerhouse that it is. And it's really been like a privilege for both of us to have watched these incredible brands come to life. And so we wanted to give you guys a little shout out, a little award. So if you go, we can start with B612. For B612, we have, if you go to the next slide, most likely to take the kids and go live in the woods. But if we go to the next slide, for real, you guys handled a huge pivot in the team with such grace and dedication. I mean, great resilience and creative spirit. And you also carved out like a totally new frontier for Scout. We kind of like discovered kind of like push the boundaries of what a studio project looks like. And it's definitely something that we'll be repeating in the future.
And next we have Battle. Slide. Felt that Battle, in the spirit of the name, is the most likely to start a fight to the death over someone dissing their favorite color. Slide. But truly, all of you, this project was such a step forward for Scout. This is normally we're used to working with student ventures or small businesses, but this time we were like, no, let's work with a global research and development organization that is running all of the COVID testing at Northeastern. And you all took this amazing challenge in stride and really created something amazing that is very difficult because these organizations need to represent themselves to many different audiences. And that can be an extreme challenge when you're designing it. So you all did really such a wonderful job with the process. And I think the product is really amazing. And I know that there is like the project had shifting requirements. There's lots of stuff to figure out. So I really want to shout out the devs and the designers for just being so flexible and really being on point and adapting it to make it work in the end. Slide.
Okay, now here we have WorkSense. And for WorkSense, we have most likely to start a company that becomes a small but extremely well-organized utopia. You guys did an amazing job in picking up everything all of our processes and sort of design practices so quickly. You led an incredibly well-organized project that's, a super powerful tool. And at the end of the day, the design itself is incredibly brand. It's incredibly modern and slick. And I think you guys managed to make it stand out in a pretty saturated like tech world, the world of like tech branding. So you should be really proud of yourselves.
Yay, and then Rooted Living, slide. We felt that Rooted Living is the type of team that is most likely to meet you at a coffee shop, fall in love, and then convert you into a spunky vegan that goes to Pilates. Proceed. But yeah, again, honestly, I've been in Scout twice and I've seen a lot of packaging projects come through, but you guys really killed it this time. This was just such an amazing project and we were so lucky to work with Rachel. She's such a nice client. And I think that you provided something absolutely amazing here, and also having the bravery to take the leap and try out working with production to see how that goes is really, really great. Again, we really think production is going to be like a huge new dimension to Scout, and we're so thankful for you for making that relationship work and putting in the effort to do everything. So really, congratulations, guys. This is such a wonderful project, and it's so happy to see it launch. And we're excited to see where it goes in the future too.
And then last but certainly not least, we have Han, Huntington Angels Network. You know, it has to be most likely to pick Taylor Swift as their child's bedtime lullaby. But we just want to say, yeah, thank you so much for also helping open a new pathway for Scout. As typically for our 5th team, we've worked with IDEA in the past, and this semester we said, okay, let's see what's out there. And now everybody, it's like the first step of many of slowly like taking over and rebranding all of Mosaic. But yeah, you guys designed something that's incredibly sustainable, and we're so proud to put it out there and for the, to live in the Mosaic ecosystem and kind of be like living proof of the incredible work that studio does. So great job. And yeah, now let's kick it off, and each of the teams is gonna chat about the work, and you'll get to see all of the amazing work we've been talking about. So thank you.
Hello, I think these are our slides. Hello, we are WorkSense. If you go to the next slide, you can see the team. So I'm Megan Lau, the project lead, and then Megan, the other Megan, if you want to speak up so your name comes up on the gallery view. Yeah, that's the other Megan. So Megan's square today to present to you about WorkSense. The rest of the team is Holda, designer, Riha, designer. And then we have Julia also as a designer. Megan is the dev, Maggie and Chris are also devs, but they're traveling today. So we will bring to you the awesomeness of WorkSense. Feel free to go to the next slide. Great. So at a high level, WorkSense, we developed a marketing website for them, and they have a product where they analyze the demographic of the company to look at promotions and if there's like inequality in pay gaps or advancing in the company pipeline. So we wanted to show how awesome WorkSense is. So we really went with like a gradient look with really cute illustrations and also show why diversity matters in the workplace. So on to the next slide. This is the landing page. I really wanted to highlight the logo. We spent many weeks working on the logo, and I'm really, really proud of what the designers have done through the iterations. And as you can see, WorkSense is the only tool that lets you debias your entire talent lifecycle. So from recruitment to when you offboard the employee, you can track how their progress has been. Moving on to the next slide. Here we have some statistics to show that diversity really matters. 59% increase in creativity, innovation, and openness. So when a client is interested in WorkSense and they're like, oh, why should we care about this product? We really want to give them those hardcore facts. Moving on. Yes, it's okay if you skip the previous slide, but basically we have a really cute graphic that walks you through the different segments of WorkSense. So we talk about compensation, we talk about promotions, we talk about recruitment, and it talks about every single step of the process that WorkSense looks at. Moving on. So we also have some really cool articles to highlight. Timmy, the founder of WorkSense, came up with these articles, and then designers and devs work together to really bring to you this alignment of like the numbers, $16 billion that cost the tech sector for turnover. We have really accredited articles like Forbes. So we want to talk to potential clients about the credibility of the inequality in the workplace. Moving on. So here we have also some of the cool articles that features WorkSense. So WorkSense was talked about in the Forbes article, so we wanted to highlight their credibility and what they've done in their accomplishments. This screenshot's a little weird because I couldn't fit everything in the same screenshot, so it's actually two. As you can see throughout the theme, like a gradient waves are really in line with what we wanted to show as the company image. And now Megan will talk about the next few slides.
Yeah, so for our team page, we have a little hover moment that shows like the text overlay to kind of introduce the team members on the page. So this is pretty cool. And then they also have their social media linked in there, and you can also email them as well. And then also on the next slide, we have our product page. And so on this, we have kind of like similar to the first page where we show the different product specs and we kind of show like what the product offers. And go to the next slide. This is our request demo page. So it's kind of similar to the homepage landing page where we have the illustration, and then we also have working forms. So that's pretty cool. We have a request demo form, also a contact form, and they're all linked to Netlify so that they can use the forms and be able to get customers to communicate with them. On the next slide. We also have our FAQ on the request demo page, and you can't really see it in the screenshot, but when you click on one of the questions, there's like a cool animation where the wave comes up and kind of like washes away the question. And so you kind of have this FAQ page where you have different categories that people can go to and kind of see just different parts of what the product is about and get their commonly asked questions answered. And then the next slide, this is just lastly, just our overview of the website as a whole. Just our theme and a little overview of all the pages. And this is in our brand book that the designers are working on. So yeah, this is pretty much what we did for WorkSense, and it's been pretty cool working with our client as well. So yeah.
All right, this is B612. I'm Gino, the project lead for B612. If you can go to the next slide. Oh, actually, sorry, let me talk about B612 real quick. So B612, is a place where you can rent these spaces to kind of go in there and kind of recharge and just to feel safe. So that might sound very vague, and that's because it is. Throughout the project, we had a pivot where Bert, our client, changed the product, and it's now behind a patent. So because of that, we don't exactly know what B612 is as a product. All we know is that it's this thing called a wellness experience, and there is going to be a physical space where you can go into, but we don't exactly know what's inside. When we started out the project, we were going to build a marketing site, and the challenge with that is Bert didn't even have the product in the first place. He was going to build a prototype. But anyways, after the pivot, we realized that a marketing site does not actually make the most perfect sense. So instead we pivoted to a concept site, a conceptual site where it kind of paints a picture of what B612 as a concept, and it's a lot more of the emotions that that B612 wants to convey. Can you go to the next slide? So of course the team, we have Franny, Layla, and Shannon as the designers, Eric, Jean, and Thomas as the developers, a bunch of talented designers and engineers that really made B612 happen. If you go to the next slide. And of course, our client Bert, he's the little prince in our project. He's been an amazing client to work with. He has a very strong emotional connection with everyone on the team, and he really makes sure that this project benefits both, of course, B612, but also every member of the team. Next slide. Some statistics on the project. We had 14 sprints, around 244 plus Slack messages, 13 Figma files, 236 Netlify deploys, and 30,000 lines of code so far. And of course, some of that is auto-generated lines of code. But anyways, we did all this during one pandemic, and that's definitely a feat for everyone on the team. And I'm extremely proud for all the work that we've done this semester. And it really the talent of our team really shows in our end website. If you go to the next slide. So quickly, just to give you a look of the current site, we have the concept site is basically just there's a landing page where it tells you what B612 is in much more abstract terms, and then there's this experience where you can this experience like asks you what space means to you, and we kind of propose these different ways that space can mean to you, like, oh, if you see on the top there, a space is where you want to feel all of your senses and things like that. You can check out the website later, but this is just like an overview of the website. If you go to the next slide. And of course, all of our design stuff finally accumulated into a brand book, and I'll just cover some of the prominent pages in the brand book. If you go to the next slide. The logo, there's a funny story about this logo. We kind of cut the process of the logo just because we had to, because of the pivot, we had to work on storyboards instead. But this logo, Shannon developed it. Shannon Haley developed it. And we used it for our hi-fi wireframes just as like a mock logo. We didn't really intend to use it as a finalized version. But after working with it and after getting a lot of feedback from the alumni crit, people actually seem to really love it. And one alum, Hallie, actually justified it in a way that was so perfect. She said that doorway, that arch, is the B612 space, and that circle on the side represents you, the self. And you're kind of like halfway in between to kind of show that B612 helps you with a lifestyle balance. And that black thing on the right kind of shows how that space can transform you. Next page. Just some marketing side, marketing designs for Instagram stories. Nothing to cover here. Next slide. I'm going to cover these really quickly. The color ratio, of course, it's a very simple website. And Bert really likes just a plain black and white because it's very timeless, and it's not, pretty much very timeless. Next slide. And then some photography examples, some photography guidelines, very grainy texture. Oh, sorry, something I forgot to mention is that our design system, we dub it Polaroid. So some of these elements like kind of really harken back to like how Polaroid pictures look. Next slide. And then again, Polaroid, some of the brand elements that we liked were using these Polaroids to capture really honest moments in B612, and then using a script handwriting to also capture the honesty and the it's very personal. I'm a little bit disappointed that because of the pivot, we couldn't use a lot of these elements for the concept website because it doesn't really make sense. But we'd imagine that if we were to build a marketing site, these elements would be much more prominent in the actual designs. But anyways, we still included them in the brand book for his for future guidelines for him. Next slide. And also the concept website is really built on these illustrations that the team made in custom, and all of these were drawn by Franny. And honestly, if it weren't for Franny, the concept website would not look as good as it does right now, and it's because of these illustrations. There's a lot of illustrations, so if you go to the next slide. If you check out that link, you'll see a lot of these illustrations. These are amazing and very imaginative and very dreamlike. But yeah, oh yeah, sure. That's the landing page, and if you click on Explore on the right, there. And then you just click on that right button. You see all these animations with these illustrations with subtle animations, and all of these illustrations were done by Franny. So yeah, mad props to everyone on the team for designing this and developing this. Cool. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Hello, everyone. So I'm the project lead for Battle. And if you guys don't remember, Battle is the biopharmaceutical analysis training laboratory. It's Northeastern affiliated, but they're trying to become a brand of their own. So that's why they came to Scout. So you can go to the next slide. Yeah, so again, huge shout out to my team. Everyone's here. Everyone's been working so hard all throughout the semester. We wouldn't be where we are today without them. So shout out to them. There's only a few of them in this in the call right now, but they know they're appreciated somewhere. Okay, next slide. Okay, great. So again, thank you guys so much for the feedback during our last all team meeting. We ended up definitely considering all the feedback that everyone said about the beaker logo. We played around with adding lines to it, but thought that looked a little bit too cluttered. So we ended up just adding a little bit of a lip to the top of it. And we're super happy with how the logo turned out. We think it's as clean as they wanted it to be. Awesome. So yeah, again, this is just the cover of our brand book, which we just finished up. I don't know, I'm just super thrilled. Like, of course, we had these amazing images to work with, but yeah, all of our designers, none of them are here. They killed it all throughout the semester. Working with our clients was definitely interesting because they hadn't really thought about Battle as a brand outside of Northeastern. So it was a lot of like us holding hands with them. But besides that, we were able to really execute a more approachable and accessible side to the very like complicated science that they're doing. Yes, you can go to the next slide. So yeah, this is kind of just a little bit of the brand that we've established. We ended up sticking with circular imagery, kind of resembling like molecules and atoms, as well as the dot grid, kind of looking like a bunch of test tubes, which I don't know, kind of symbolizes how they're doing COVID testing right now. And yeah, just trying to keep it very experimental and clean. And you can go to the next one. Great, so these are just screenshots of the homepage that we ended up creating. I don't know, the cool things about this, we have articles just because they're kind of blowing up right now. They have so many like News at Northeastern articles coming out about them, so those are featured there, as well as an interactive map showing their global reach. And yeah, again, like this, it was definitely like a great learning experience working with these clients. This organization is pretty big and it's expanding very quickly. Because of that, there were some difficulties, like the person, like the director of Battle, Jared, who's definitely like one of the busiest people ever. I ended up never being able to meet him or talk to him. He's the College of Science, so he's been like incredibly busy, which has definitely led to a few difficulties and like a little bit of a pivot halfway through just because he wasn't really attending any of the meetings. So there was definitely a lot of learning experience as far as communication and like a lot about the designer and client relationship. Yeah, so you can go to the next one and I'm gonna popcorn it over to McKenna, who's one of our devs. Wait, I don't know if we can hear you, McKenna.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I like bought these new AirPods and they're not even working. I don't understand. So yeah, doing Dev for Battle was really like a great learning experience. I think the biggest challenge was because they are growing and they have a lot of plans to like really expand, that the site had to reflect that, and some of the elements needed to be able to be updated and built upon, for example, like the timeline. And also with that, we had a very kind of unique and experimental design that, you know, needed to be actually developed. So there were a lot of challenges that came with that. But overall, I think the site turned out great. And it was a lot of hard work from Mackenzie and Chris, the other devs. I think Mackenzie's here. She can pop on if she wants to say anything. But I think it turned out really great and it was a big learning experience. And yeah, I think the end result was a really sleek website that fits their needs, that is both, you know, experimental, that reflects kind of the whole science aspect of Battle, as well as being a step apart from the other competitors in the field. So yeah, I think this is a great starting off point for Battle and it's gonna excel them forward, hopefully.
Yeah, thank you. And then we just have a few more slides. This is another page. So we ended up coming to them with like this huge website concept and like really just tackling a lot of what we expected them to want. They ended up really consolidating that. Even like week after week, they just kept shrinking everything and like kind of backtracking on the sitemap that we created. So we ended up only making 2 tabs on their website and then a contact page, which we made this email form on the left, just so anyone interested or people that have questions about the organization can reach out through there. And yeah, you can go to the next slide. And again, our website's almost finished. It'll be done on Monday, and you'll be able to check it out soon. Thank you, guys.
Okay, yeah, and then hello everyone. So we're HAN, or Huntington Angels Network. And if you don't remember from mid-semester, HAN is a Mosaic organization. They work to connect Northeastern startups with angel investors. You can go to the next slide. And this is our team. So we had Joanna as our project lead, but she unfortunately couldn't be here today. So I'm Allie, and I was one of the designers along with Brandon and Norman. And then Angelina and Erin were the developers. So project. Go to the next slide. I think we go back one, I think. Skipped, yeah. So just go to the final logo. So we found our client really had a connection with their original logo, which is the wing, and they wanted to continue that into their new design. So we really just took it, refreshed it to make it look a little bit cleaner, and then updated it to match the color scheme. Go to the next slide. Yeah, and then this is our color scheme. So for the design, we wanted to keep it a little more minimalistic, and having a lot of clean white space was really important. So we have like white, black, some grays, and then brought in the accent colors of gold, deeper teal, and then some header type in navy to add some personality, make it stand out. And then these are some of the final elements from our design strategy that we wanted to share. So using more geometric typefaces, so URW DIN, and then HK Grotesque. And then for some CTAs on the right, had those in the teal to make them stand out. And then visual elements, we were playing around with like these overlapping color blocks with opacities, and also bring in gold lines like the ones above Explore Han. Go to the next slide. Okay, and then we wanted to move on to show some of the final hi-fis. So this is the homepage for desktop and mobile. And really overall for this site, we wanted to create a really geometric, clean, and professional design, just because they had to speak to students who were on the Han team, but also investors and the startups. So somewhat simplistic in layout, but then really adding some personality with these overlapping elements and the bright pops of color. That's really shown in like the hero with this bold Han and the image, and then their name nice and bold. And then I will pass it over to Brandon to talk about some of our other pages.
Hello. So yeah, thank you, Allie. These are some more pages that we built out. These are all of our pages that explain what it's like to be a member of Han, either as an investor or as an associate on the team, or getting involved with Han as a potential venture. So we have all this information and steps for ways that people can get involved, and different requirements that they need with CTAs to get in touch with the organization and apply for those positions. And then next page. Yep. So these are pages that give viewers a little more insight into the Huntington Angels network itself. So there's a page for the current team members where you can also learn more about them. Go to the LinkedIn pages. My table just jumped. That scared me so much. Sorry. And then a page where you can see all the people that are in the alumni members network, so people that used to be involved with Han, as well as a page to meet current advisors. And then the next slide. Yeah, and so then we also had a page that we made to highlight past events that Han has put on for students in the community. And then a newsletter archive, which is, we were kind of inspired by Scout's poster wall on our website, where they can highlight past newsletters that they've written and released. And then a page for more information on how to stay connected with the organization, viewing upcoming events, current newsletter, and other stuff like that. And then a contact page, a page for frequently asked questions where they answered questions specifically for ventures, investors, and students. And then a page where they can highlight past partners and ventures that they worked with, and kind of read more into those success stories and visit those websites. And I believe that's it. Yep.
Cool. All right, so we're Rooted Living. We were working on compostable packaging design for Granola Company. And yeah, if you could go to the next slide. This is our final logo, which I don't think at the mid-semester check-in, I think we were still iterating a good bit. So yeah, this was designed by Josie, who's here, but she's in a car, so I'm speaking on her behalf. Yeah, so definitely a lot of iterating there, but super happy with this. I think it's super cute. Yeah, so just talking a little bit about kind of what our client Rachel has been up to and like what's going on with Rooted Living. So Rachel is set to launch Rooted Living in the spring. And since then she's done a couple soft launches on Instagram, just selling via like a Google form. And then she also was at the Northeastern Holiday Market. So we put together some stickers since our final packaging isn't printed yet. So yeah, just some light packaging work there. And also, I think some of you guys may know this, but Rachel actually won the Husky Startup Challenge, which is like super amazing. She beat out 11 other student-led ventures and got like a big cash prize, which is so amazing for Rooted Living, like all the things that she can do in the future. So yeah, we are actually planning to continue working with her into next year, working on a website and more packaging designs and like other print materials. So definitely excited there. And yeah, why don't I hand it off now to Phoebe and Sam. They'll kind of walk through our final designs and then we'll talk about our social media.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm one of the designers on Rooted Living, and you can see here the colors and our illustrations that we ended on. The colors, we went through, I don't know how many rounds and iterations of this color palette because our client had very, very particular taste when it came to color. There was like one notorious meeting where she was like, she couldn't stop talking about how she just didn't like orange in food packaging and she just would not have orange on her packaging. So there was a lot of deliberating and working on that, and this is what we ended up with. And then our illustrations went in we ended up going in this direction of like a grid system, but we had to be really careful to not make it feel too technological and still be natural for like the natural granola brand. And I think Phoebe's going to talk about the packaging next.
Yeah, so this is our final packaging that we created for Rachel's first two flavors, peanut butter crunch and maple almond. As you can see, there's like very specific things she wanted to call out on the packaging, like that it's compostable. And on the back, we have all the ingredients listed out and illustrated to emphasize the fact that they're like whole ingredients. We wanted to focus on like each flavor having its own color. And so that is like the main part, but still living within the color palette. This is actually, the front is the earlier version of the packaging. And then she'll actually move on to a version of the packaging that has like a window in it. So that will follow the wave as well. So kind of making those two different versions was a little bit challenging, but yeah, this is where we landed. And we just wanted to incorporate the same elements with like the colors and the illustrations, as well as we brought into other like background elements with the wave and then the dot texture in the background. And I think passing it off to, social media.
Yeah, so Josie put together these posts. We built out a few like series that Rachel can do on her Instagram account. So this first one is an ingredient highlight, which basically just walks through all of the ingredients featured in her granola and kind of talks about like the reasons why they're there and the benefits of them. So Josie made this super cute design using photos from the first photo shoot that we did which was actually a virtual photo shoot. So Bryce, our photographer, had his computer screen. I think I showed it at the mid-semester check-in, but he like had his computer hooked up to his camera and we could see like his hands moving everything around. So I think that this is like an awesome usage of that photography. And yeah, handing it off now to Oliver. He's going to talk about the other series we did.
Hi, hopefully this is working. But this is a second series of informational posts that Rachel wanted to do that is, it's about how like the problem with plastic in the world and how plastic packaging causes a lot of waste and fills up our oceans, and that's why Rooted Living has compostable packaging. So it's just a series of, we have these like title cards that we created with the illustrations all woven in, and we have like a series of different like individual slides to highlight each sentence in these problem with plastic series, so that people could like scroll through this post if it pops up on their carousel and be able to like screenshot and like share the posts and the facts they identify with, while just like appreciating like the way that it's laid out, and like, and just like it's just like a good fact, and like if it's like laid out and spread through like a bunch of slides that are like interesting, like I think people will be able to connect with the facts and the message that Rooted Living wants to send out more. Thank you very much.
Yay. Thank you everyone so much. That was awesome. And it's so great to see just all the work come together and seeing all the different teams, because sometimes we do work very separate from each other. So it's always so nice. And I just want to say like a huge thank you for everyone, all their hard work. And also I think that with the remote semester, there has been just so many changes and new things, and everyone's always down to just like jump in and try new things. So it definitely has been a fabulous semester. And I'm going to stop the recording.